And we are back home for a 40-lap race around Warrington. I've brought along my buddies Lewis and Pash. And there are others here who are far more friendly. Random grid positions mean I'm lining up 9th of 11. Pash is next to me. Lewis is starting on pole, the lucky duck. And this is a guy who hasn't touched a car in over 6 months. And before then, who knows? And he's still annoyingly quick. Directly behind me is Dom, who was part of a 3-man team that a couple of weeks ago won a 6-hour Daytona endurance race. And that's some impressive stuff, and it means if I mess up turn 1, he's gonna inhale me. As we wait for the lights, we'll find out if I can get my first podium at Warrington. And we're off, and the guy ahead forgets where his go pedal is, so it looks like I have Ferrari launch control. Before we out of the first corner, I'm 4 places. Make that 5. I'm not gonna lie, that's a disgusting start. Now I've no idea how quick this guy ahead is, but I'm pretty confident that I'm faster. But I need to find a good place to overtake. I do want to do it quickly so I can get in the mix with the 2 ahead. And I can see that Lewis has kept himself in first. Go ahead, lads. This guy goes too fast and wide upstairs, so I found a simple overtake to move into 3rd, and I'm on my way to white helmets up ahead. Coming up to complete lap 1, and I'm up 6 places. Lewis outbraked himself, so now to 2nd. I was really looking forward to a battle with Lewis, but maybe that's all to come. But on lap 2, I'm already in 2nd place, so it's time to close up that gap to the girl up ahead. Just like the guy in the last lap, she goes wide upstairs, so I'm able to close up really close. I've got to be careful here not to barge through her, but keep it tight around a double apex. I hold off from boosting until after the chicane. Then I mash the button, but it doesn't get me any closer. I have a better first corner and a much better turn 2, but she's the inside of 3, but she grants me much more respect than she needed. My wide line into 3 slingshots me around her and into the lead. This is not a position that I'm familiar with, leading around Warrington. I'm fairly confident here that I'm on the podium even with 37 laps to go, but another part of my brain is preparing myself for me bottling it. Now, the one guy I'm a little worried about is endurance man Dom, who is a corner behind, so I cannot take it too casually. But for now, I'm just going to concentrate on keeping it clean on an open track, and then wait for the inevitable back markers to come into play. And lo and behold, less than a lap later, we've caught our first one, at the slowest part of the track, but thankfully, it's a simple leapfrog on this guy, and I carry on bombing it around an open track. But not for long. By the time I'm ending lap 4, I have another back marker who's taking a cadet line around turn 1. So, I aim at turn 2, but we get a yellow, which might make this a slightly controversial overtake, but I'm in the lead and he's a lap down on lap 5, so screw it. We go green, but I've got 2 more back markers coming up fast. We follow them down the Monaco straight, and I was not expecting this dude to be going so slow here. I can't really complain too much about that contact, I guess. I'm just happy I'm through these guys quickly and back to my wide open road. Even with all this space that I have on track and leading the race, I am already worrying about my pit stop. Every pit stop I've done here has been awful, with one coming in behind another driver who got it all wrong, making us both end up in the wrong end of the pits and nowhere near our new karts, to having been in the top 3 and having to make 2 stops thanks to a dodgy kart. But this race, this is the one where it all goes super smooth. Right?
You stupid.
Oh, that's still to come. We're going to catch the next guy up the road at the slow right, left, and he kind of just stops on the apex. It does mean I get a glimpse of where 2nd and 3rd are, so a comfy little lead still, but there's so many back markers, this lead feels a lot like I'm late for work, weaving through traffic, and more than a little fragile. For God's sake, again I'm catching someone in the same place, and they're even slower, so they get a bump for their troubles. I do feel kind of bad. Some of these guys on track came for a fun race with mates and they're getting bumped about by some knobhead tryhard. So, sorry about that, but there's 2 more up ahead to get. We're catching this guy around turn 2 for a change. So I set up a bomb into turn 3, but he's taking the cadet line, so that's a no-go. Does mean I'm super close under the Dunlop, so maybe a move under Sentry is on. But we quickly get a yellow, which quickly turned into a green, so I'll just take the inside of this guy. And around this left, the inside of this guy. Just go around the corner and head upstairs. It looked as though I was going to catch this fella on the usual spot, but not this time. Coming down to the hairpin, he is slow, so he gets an unintentional bump. I set up on the outside move, he sees me and closes that door, which I had half anticipated. Not that I'm not fuming to get the guy, but whatever. I'll get him around turn 1 or turn 2 anyway and be on my way. Job done. Time for a clean track again. You can guess when we catch the next one. You guessed it. A simple pass this time, and with no bumping, so that's a win for everybody. End of lap 11, and we just spin it into turn 1 to avoid. Now up ahead we have my buddy Lewis, and another spinner around turn 3. Is Lewis maybe barging folk out of the way? I mean, clearly he isn't. Well, there is a trail of destruction where he's been. This is the sort of thing that goes through my head. When I first came karting 6 months ago, I came with a bunch of mates, including Lewis, and he was a second faster than me on that day. And it took me a good number of sessions to make up that second, so I'm not expecting this pass to be remotely easy. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. Add into the mix another slow back marker, and we've all the hallmarks for a fun melee as I get right up his arse. But I've had a moment around the hairpin, so I need you to straighten the boost to catch up a little. Now around turn 1, he's no slouch, but there's a door open for me into turn 2. Maybe we'll have a melee later. Now I'm going to look to line up the guy for a pass under the Dunlops, but he's chosen a great defensive line. Whether that was intentional or not, but I keep the foot in and throw it around the inside of this first left, and it's job done. These races are super fun in their own right, but have the added benefit of giving you some insight into how and where to overtake. And we're here once again. No simple one this time, so I'm going to try something a little different. Going wide out of this right and aim at the apex of this double left, which works nicely. See, I've never done that before, so learning new things. Another dude up ahead, and another questionable pass from the yellows, but screw it. We go green and there's clearly a car facing the wrong way, so I act like a yellow flag and hold up traffic while we wait for the true yellows to be shown. And take stock as to where Dom in second is. Not massively far away, truth be told. Lap 19 and proof that pit stops have started as I throw it on the inside up the ramp. How it works is we'll all be each shown a black flag when it's time for our pit stop, so you think to bring us in separately and avoid a pit lane schmoz.
You stupid.
It's getting boring to find other ways of saying it, but I'm catching a guy here again. He's not making it all that easy, so I'm going to risk a move down the down ramp, which thankfully works out okay. This fella emerges from the pit. I'm pretty sure he's not going to see me, so I go around the outside for the pass. This guy practically stops to have a chat with the marshal who's holding up the board telling him to go to the pits. All a bit weird, but it's not quite as weird as his line through the chicane, causing me to stamp on the brakes. Now I can't get him into turn 1. Around turn 2 though, I throw it around the outside and leave him nicely. Start of lap 24 sees a couple of guys who've had a moment, so I need to make a slight correction to avoid ploughing into them. But soon enough, we're back up and running. And I'm beginning to wonder when I'm due for my pit stop. Time warp 3 laps, I get called in. There's been 8 laps since the pit start, so this should be a breeze considering only 11 drivers are on track. As I come barreling into the pits, there's my buddy Lewis. Not ideal, but he's got his head screwed on, so it shouldn't be an issue. Except there are 2 more people in the pits. How are there 4 drivers in the pits at once? I always like to throw a timer on my pit stops because they're always so terrible. My previous record pit stop comes in at a woeful 1 minute and 4 seconds. Will we get a winner today? Is it a winner slower or faster? I don't know, it's funny either way. While I stand around like a knob wondering which cart to get into. And there we go. As I get into my cart, Lewis is trolling me here, he must be. Get in the cart, lad! The 2 who are in the pits have now left or on the way out as Lewis takes his sweet time. This is a guy who ran the London Marathon like a champ, so he's totally taken the pits. I kid, of course, this is the first kart swap ever, and it's not made totally clear how best to carry on. A quick glance behind me shows that Dom is in the pits behind, so whatever lead I had has been gobbled up thanks to what is now gonna be the worst pit stop I've ever had. Which in hindsight might have been a blessing. If he had come in before or after, his stop might have and probably would have been a lot quicker. Now we're back on track and I need to adjust to the cold tyres, which I am notoriously rubbish at. As proof of that, I've slid all the way around 2 and understeer around 3. Lewis was in front of me out of the pits, so he must have let this guy, so I've got to do the same. And then it's time for round 2. Job done. Where's Lewis? I told you, he's annoyingly naturally fast. It's taken me 2 laps to catch up, but yellow pops up and I say hello. We're back to green, and he's not a guy I can just take randomly like some of the others on track, so I will need to wait for a proper overtake location. Like here as he goes wide down the ramp. I aim it straight, but he closes that door. I'm very aware I've got 2nd place breathing down my neck, so do I want a punchy Lewis? Yes I do. Now I think I've got the job done round turn 1, but get a bit slidey into turn 2. I still think I'm clear, but Lewis bombs into 3 and I hit the barriers. Now it might be punchy, but this is exactly what I wanted all race. A good honest fight. I think about a move under Sentry, but he's done enough to put me off, though he's had to carry too much speed which upset him for the next couple of corners. And I debate diving up the ramp, but against anyone quick, it's a bit of a death sentence. Let's bring in a couple of slow back markers to spice us up. Naturally, in our favourite place to catch them. I bumped Lewis a few times and I'm close enough to try it around the hairpin. Then I need to thread the needle around purple here, which felt pretty good at the time. Best battle of the night from Lewis. Thanks, buddy. We're coming close to the end of this race, but not without more back marker shenanigans. I get this guy before the ramp. As I bump up the ramp, I see we've got another guy that I'm no doubt about to catch on the slowest part of the track again. But it's a simple overtake. It may have been simple, but I then proceed to bash not 1, but 2 barriers. What a knob. I've noticed by this point that the car I'm in is pretty handy. So I've been trying to get into the 52-second lap times for the first time since January. Problem is, I've been coming across some yellows or back markers whenever I've had a full boost to use, so getting a little bit frustrated. This here is the end of my best lap so far, a 53.1, and watching it back, I had chosen to reserve my boost for the next lap rather than spam it down the straight. I had a purple middle sector, and if I'd used the boost I might have cracked it, but as you saw, harvesting that boost did me no favours as we hit a yellow soon into the lap. I'll need to wait for another lap with a clear track, and it's not this one. And it isn't lap 37 because we've come across this guy at the end of the lap. Not that I'd done any purple sectors anyway. Lap 38 was a write-off, thanks to this coming together upstairs. Never mind, still 2 more laps. And 39 is going to be a no-go as we start the lap having just gone green after a yellow. After this, I've got 1 more lap to get into the 52, so final lap of the race. And it's looking pretty clear. Can I do it? That is the purple first sector. It's looking good. Damn it, that's a slower second sector by 0.3. I've still got the final sector to go though. Screw it. I see the checker flag, so I take the foot off to save my first podium at Warrington. And it's a first. Feels pretty good. Sure, there were only a handful of competitive people on track, but I've been here before and just missed out, so I'm taking this one to the bank. Not shown at all in this video was Pash, who was most definitely on track as he came home in 3rd for his first podium ever, so big from Pash. Lewis crossed the line in 5th, and for a guy who hasn't done this in months, that's another big result. Good racing all round from the boys. If you like what you saw, let me know with a like and a subscribe. I'll be racing a track I'm only vaguely familiar with next, so until then, have a good one.